Greetings, friends. In the last video, I told you about the Akkadian Empire of ancient Mesopotamia. In this video, I will talk about the art of ancient Elam. This region called Elam was in the neighborhood of ancient Mesopotamia. So let's first look at the map of Elam, and then we will go on to study the art specimens of Elam. So as you can see, this is the region of Sumer, and this is Akkad, and Akkadian Empire became very powerful, as I told you in the last video. And this area is Elam. So as you can see, this is the southwestern half of Persian Peninsula, and this is a plateau. And this plateau is rich in semi-precious stones, metals, and different types of precious material. So when Akkadian Empire became powerful in Mesopotamia, they tried to subjugate Elam because they developed an interest in the semi-precious stones and other metals which could be found on this plateau. And you can see this is Susa, which became very powerful in the Persian Empire, and this was part of Elam. And this is Tele Malyam, Tipe Yaya, Tipe Jian, and all these sites have yielded lots of artifacts in the excavations. So there was a period called Proto-Elamite art, that is before the Akkadian Empire's age, when Elam was not under Akkadian Empire, but there were cultural exchanges going on between Mesopotamia and Elam. And then there is an Elamite phase, and during this phase, Elam was under Akkadian Empire. And after Akkadian Empire fell, Elam became independent again. And you can see that this is Meluha, that is Indus Valley Civilization. You can see Mohenjo-daro, Chanudaro, and further down south there was Lothal on the Gujarat coast, and northwards there was Kalibangan in Haryana. These were all very prominent Indus Valley civilization sites. So Elam used to trade with Meluha, and it used to trade with this southern area of Persian Peninsula, which is mentioned as Marashi. And Elam also used to trade with modern day Bahrain, which was called Dilman. So Elam had good trade relationships with its neighbor, and for some time it was under the political subjugation of Akkadian Empire of Mesopotamia. So all these events influenced the art of Elam, which we will see in this video. So as I had told you that in both Sumerian civilization and Akkadian Empire, bulls, rams, and goats and sheep were very important figures, both from the ceremonial point of view and also from the economic point of view. So in the Proto-Elamite period, you can see that bull figure was equally important, and so this seems to be a common motif of this entire region of West Asia, ancient West Asia, where these animal figures were very important from both economic point of view and also from the ceremonial point of view. So here is this bull figure who is kneeling, and he is holding a silver vase. So this entire sculpture is made of silver, and he is holding a vase. So the vase is obviously used for lighting in incense during ceremonial services, or it could be used for holding some kind of ceremonial liquid. So this figure again has ceremonial importance. And this is from the Proto-Elamite period, when there was good exchange between Elam and Mesopotamia. This is again proto-Elamite, and this is a cylindrical seal, as you can see, and this is the impression of the seal on clay. So here again you can see that bull figures are very important. There is a row of bull in the bottom, and in the top also you can see some deer and bull, etc., in the top also, and there are some inscriptions which signify that this could have been a very important seal. So bull figure is again very important in this proto-Elamite period of Elamite art. So we can see that this is a very common motif running through Sumerian civilization to Akkadian Empire and to Proto-Elamite period. Now in a previous video, I showed you the figures of Indus goddesses, and I showed you how their figures evolved. And I also told you that it's not necessary that they were goddesses. We don't really know. We don't really know whether they were goddesses or they were common female figures or they were just decorative objects. So in the same way, here in Elam also we have found this figure of a woman who is designed in a very stylistically very similar way to the Indus figures which I showed you in a previous video. So you can see that she has a thin waist and she's standing and she is holding something in her hand, and she has an elaborate headdress, as you can see here, and she's also wearing lots of jewelry. In her hands also she's wearing bracelets, she's wearing necklaces, and on her headdress also she is wearing many kinds of decorative ornaments. So this is a bejeweled woman, and she could have been a representation of an elite class woman, or she could have been a goddess. And we know that these kinds of figures were very common during the ancient civilizations. So, and stylistically, she looks very similar to the Indus figures which I showed you in a previous video. Now, I told you that Elam had trading and cultural contacts with the Indus Valley civilization. And this is actually a seal of Indus Valley, which has been found in Susa, in Elam, in the excavation. So this is a circular seal, and this is the impression of the seal on the clay. So you can see that this seal again has a bull figure, and there is the inscription from the Indus Valley which has not been deciphered till now. So again you can see the repetition of the motif of the bull, which was very important in the Indus Valley civilization, and this figure is again repeating here in the Elam excavation, and this is actually a seal which was imported from Indus Valley. This is not an Elamite seal. This is a seal from the Indus Valley. So this shows that there was good trade and cultural exchange between Indus Valley civilization and Elam. This is again an Indus bracelet, and we have found several ornaments of beads and steatites and lapis lazuli and semi-precious stones and metals from which were made in Indus Valley and exported to Elam, and they have been excavated at various Elam sites. So these ornaments were coming from Indus Valley to Elam, and perhaps they were highly prized. And Indus Valley artisans had developed a method of treating the precious stones and metals with acid and molding them. And the artisans of Elam seem to have learned this method from the Indus Valley civilization, and they adopted this method in their own handicrafts making, and artisans use this method in their own bracelets and ornaments making. So this is an influence from Indus Valley civilization, which we see in Elam. Now this is a late artifact from Elam, and by this time Indus Valley civilization had disappeared, and we stopped getting the imported material from Indus Valley by this time, because Indus Valley had also disappeared by this time, and we start getting the indigenously produced Elam artifacts. And this is actually a helmet made of iron or maybe copper. This is a helmet made of copper, and on this are carved in high relief three divinities. They are folding their hands and they are standing, and they are covered with headdresses and headgear. And over the three divinities is a bird spreading its wings. So maybe this is a kind of a symbol to protect the wearer of the helmet by these kinds of figures, because the helmet was it might have been worn by a soldier. So this type of protective artifacts were carved on the helmet, and this shows the high degree of artisanship of the artisans of Elam. So we will stop here, and in the next video I will bring you some more artifacts from some other civilization. Thank you very much.